this video is how can you get out of your own way? And that is a key message of this Aquarius full moon, because the Aquarian energy is not about pushing or going at it on your own. It is to collaborate with a greater purpose, allowing ourselves to see our own role in the whole and utilize that in community and utilize our inner strength, our talents and gifts, and being appreciated for that within a community. So that purification that Hygiea is bringing in alongside Psyche here is our opportunity to truly let go of things that are misaligned within ourselves, within our thought processes, within our body, and allow a harmony to rise, because we are moving deeper into 2027 where major energetic shifts are happening. And this is also our ticket to go with ease through those changes. Welcome to New Light Living Podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. This video is a galactic astrology reading of the Aquarius full moon at 6 degrees 30 minutes on July 29th, 2026. Welcome. What I do in these videos, I put an outer layer of fixed stars, celestial bodies, and galactic points to the traditional Western tropical astrology wheel. And that is to help us expand into a multidimensional view of our collective energies, but also of our own energies as part of our birth chart. In this video, you will receive 3 energetic themes that I've pulled out from the full moon chart, and also questions at the end should you want to integrate this full moon in Aquarius some more. Are you curious about your own galactic alignments? Download my Galactic Alignments Reference Guide. There's a link in the pinned comment and description box below. This Aquarius full moon is in opposition with the Sun, in conjunction with Jupiter, asteroid Hygiea, and asteroid Psyche, and that is a powerful combination. The full moon is square with the fixed star Cassiopeia-Shedar, and that builds a T-square to 8 degrees of Taurus. But at this full moon, we also have a trine and a sextile to the full moon from fixed stars that we're going to talk more about in energetic theme 1 coming up. The ruler of this full moon is Uranus, and we know that Uranus is playing a key role in the collective transformation alongside Neptune and Pluto, of course. And at this time, we have Uranus conjunct Hyades star cluster, primarily Hyadum 1 at 6 degrees of Gemini. And that is linking in a creative life force-like energy into this full moon. This Aquarius full moon is really a milestone for what's to come in our human evolution. And many of us have this sense of this pressure to evolve versus being in the now. And that is a guide for the future energies that we're going through, because we are in a significant energy peak with the basket that we have heard many astrologers talk about. And we're going to talk some more about this basket in energetic theme 1 as well. But it is this evolutionary pressure that we are likely all of us are feeling in some shape or form in our lives. But it's also linked into our dreams and hopes and sometimes fantasies on how we expect our own evolution to be, or humanity's evolution to be. And now is the time to ask ourselves the question, am I in alignment with where humanity is going? And the answer might be yes, the answer might be no. And when we stand in front of this question, am I aligned to the future? The key message of this Aquarius full moon is to listen to the body, because when we are integrating our soul sense, our soul essence with the body's power as a vessel to host our soul, we cannot go wrong. But often when we are dealing with self-doubt and a lot of resistance, it may be an indicator that our mental domain is in charge. And this is the message also of the Aquarian energy, is to integrate our true soul nature, our true soul essence with the wisdom of our body as a vessel to be in this physical world that we have here on Earth. So now is the time to allow for that integration to happen. And one of the things that are really key for this integration between soul and body is to slow down, and allow a inner knowing to emerge. And that might be the biggest challenge at this time, to slow down enough to allow that inner knowing to emerge, because throughout recent evolution, we are not very good with the unknown. We're not really accepting the unknown. We have a strong tendency to plan. We have a strong tendency to scenario plan, and we want to know every single step. The Aquarius full moon is guiding us to the way we are invited to lead and walk and navigate our lives with in the future. And that is with an integrated soul-body connection. And what that really means is that we are moving towards a world where we are allowed to be just the way we are, to just be, and to allow stillness within with that knowing. So what that means is that we are invited now to practice getting out of our own way and embrace stillness, inner knowing, and trusting that intuition, and that both the body, heart, and soul is nudging us towards. And you can think about it like a satellite or a satellite disk. If we were to use the mind as a satellite disk instead of a data machine that comes up with solutions, that satellite disk is receiving information, and we allow the body and our heart frequency to help guide the direction intuitively. So that is a complete shift in the way we are using our mind in the future. So that's a way of thinking about it, how we would relax the mind and use it more as a receiving device than a processor. So yes, this Aquarius full moon is kind of high tech in the sense of the inner technology that we are harboring as a being here on Earth. Our body is as high tech as it comes, and our body will show us the way in terms of where we're going next. And the more integrated our soul is with that messaging system of the body, the more we feel transparent from inside to out. So the Aquarius full moon on July 29th is a key marker for where we're going next. It's a glimpse into the future in that sense. And we are all invited to ask us that question. Am I working against my own intuitive truth and essence, or am I going with the flow, getting out of my own way and allowing myself to flow down that river of our own life, allowing and observing where I'm going next, trusting that inner compass, that inner knowing. So before we take a look at the Aquarius full moon chart, I'd like to share what the energetic themes are. The first theme is soul and body integration. And here we're going to talk about the full moon, of course, but also a little bit more about the basket, and link it also into the square that we have between Venus and Mars. The second theme I've called Seeking Clarity. And here we're going to take a look at a yod that involves Ixion and Gonggong, both dwarf planets in the Kuiper belt. And the third theme I've called Path to Inner Flow. And here we're going to talk about a couple of squares in addition to that Venus-Mars square that we have at this Aquarius full moon that really puts some pressure on all of us. Look forward to that in energetic theme 3. And the members only video, we're going to expand a little more about this square energy that we're seeing in the charts, because we are also coming back to this Mars-Venus square, for example, in October. Plus, we also have Mars transiting the Orion constellation here, end of July, early August, between July 21st and August 6th. So that is going to be a deep dive also in that energy. All right, let's dive into the Aquarius full moon chart next. So here we have the Aquarius full moon chart, and I've highlighted here the opposition as usual between the moon and the sun, and also the significant conjunction with the sun, Jupiter, Psyche, and Hygiea there at 6 and 5 degrees of Leo. This is a significant message for us all that we're going to talk more about in energetic theme 1 coming up. And I would also say that the moon is in conjunction with Pluto there at 4 degrees of Aquarius. So it's a very transformational time, an expanding time. And as we know, the basket is also in effect here. And we're going to talk more about that as well. The ruler of this full moon is Uranus, and Uranus is still at 4 degrees, almost 5 degrees of Gemini now, conjunct the Hyades star cluster, particularly Hyades 1 at 6 degrees of Gemini. Now that square, I want to highlight Cassiopeia-Shedar there at 8 degrees of Taurus, which builds a T-square to the full moon. And that's a significant message as well, and guiding energy for what we are invited to expand into next. So a little bit about Cassiopeia as a constellation is associated with an energy of attractive, highly elegant leadership. And Cassiopeia-Shedar particularly is associated with leadership of compassion, and compassionate, very divine feminine leadership is one guiding combination for the future. And I'm not surprised that Cassiopeia is involved in this T-square with the full moon. This is a significant energy that is associated with success. And I've included an image there of Cassiopeia that you can tune into. And this is a very regal energy, I feel. So it's a guidance for us at this time to consider how we are leading ourselves and others and our lives with compassion, because it's also associated with the energy of success. So this Aquarius full moon is an opener to that type of compassionate leadership that is going to guide us into the future and how success is defined. In addition, I want to mention the 2 asteroids here that are in conjunction with the sun, highlighted by the sun, and Jupiter, expanded by Jupiter. And that is asteroid Hygiea and asteroid Psyche. So there is, of course, not a coincidence that this is all happening at the same time, this conjunction. Hygiea has to do with purification, and Psyche has to do with our soul connections. And when we put this together, it is an invitation to integrate soul with the body, because Hygiea is very grounded. And we're going to talk more about Hygiea and Psyche in energetic theme 2 coming up. So yes, this Aquarius full moon is something else. It really is a window into the future and guidance for what energy we are invited to align with moving forward. And we can also clearly sense when we are working against this type of energy that is highlighted or exemplified by this Aquarius full moon. So one question that we can ask ourselves is, what do we feel resistance around at this time? And asking ourselves about identifying that resistance and see where the intention from that comes from. Is it from an egoic standpoint, or is it from a selfless standpoint? That may be a simple guidance for the future, what we want to keep for the future and what we want to let go of at this time. All right, let's dive into energetic theme 1, soul and body integration next. So here we have energetic theme 1 that I called soul and body integration. Here you can see I have highlighted the full moon there at 6 degrees of Aquarius. And first we're going to talk about the trine to Hygiea, 1 in particular at 6 degrees of Gemini there. And we can include Uranus because Uranus is the ruler of this Aquarius full moon. So I would include that as part of this trine. And of course, it's a trine that also in effect with between Pluto and Uranus there as part of the basket. Hygiea is associated with creative energy, and with the moon, Pluto, and Uranus, and this creativity is that it's transformational to engage in creativity when we are discerning what is flowing for us. I talked about getting out of the way of ourselves at this Aquarius full moon, and that is going to be increasingly important to get out of our own way in the future. This is a guiding trine, what it takes to get out of our own way. And it's through the energy of creativity, primarily, that this trine is suggesting. And when we are trusting our creativity, we are also aligned with this powerful air energy between Gemini and Aquarius there. And Hygiea is a prime hub for creativity where soul incarnations are determined. And what else do we have here? We have a sextile to Alpha Reticulum in Aries there at 7 degrees of Aries. And Alpha Reticulum, I often link Alpha Reticulum to future energy, that archetypal energy that we are actually moving into, but is guiding us here now. So around 7 degrees of Aries is a highly potent point because of that connection with Alpha Reticulum. It's all the things that we think are going to happen is part of that archetypal energy of imagining the future. And many of us are here to bring that future energy and anchor it here to Earth. And that sextile is very supportive at this Aquarius full moon, where we have full support to step into our future potential. And lastly, here in this theme is that square, the T-square with the full moon, but the square between the moon and Cassiopeia-Shedar. It is a growth opportunity to step into compassionate leadership that is grounded in its purity of compassion. And how we define success through compassion is going to likely be one of the greatest challenges for humanity to make a shift in. So here we have the sextile, the square, and the trine as part of the significant guidance from the full moon here that builds the bottom of that basket that we are quite familiar with at this time. So I wanted to highlight also hiatus then that is linked into both Uranus and this trine to the full moon. So as I mentioned, hiatus is associated with immense creativity, and we are invited here to really put our focus on our own sense of creativity, play, adventure at this time, because if we do, we may open up to innate creativity that we're here to remember. And hiatus is a key star cluster that Uranus will be conjunct at 6, 7, 8 degrees of Gemini. Those are key degrees of the Gemini sign that will be activated by Uranus come mid-2027. So this highlight by the Aquarius full moon is a guide for what to come mid next year. And also the significance of this is that Neptune will also be at 6 and 7 degrees of Aries at this time. So there will be a very supportive sextile to the Hygiea star cluster at this time, mid-2027. And then we have Reticulum. And Reticulum at 7 degrees of Aries here, linked into the future blueprint of energy that is in process of being anchored to Earth. And anytime we have a tap in to Alpha Reticulum, I sense that there's always some guidance for the future present. And this is a significant sextile from the full moon conjunct Pluto that signals this transformation. So what this energy can be, for example, may be those innovative ideas that comes through creativity that we are connecting with that may come through our heart rather than trying to figure it out with our mind. So that's the heart-centered creativity that is bringing in the future blueprint of energy. Both of these, Hygiea star cluster and Alpha Reticulum, will be in the forefront of mid-2027 when Uranus is conjunct Hyeda's star cluster exact, and Neptune is going to be conjunct Alpha Reticulum exact around the same time. So this supportive sextile between them will bring in immense energy of creativity and future blueprint, likely then to be anchored to Earth in a more focused way. But this Aquarius full moon is the door opener for it and showing us what to come next. All right, let's take a look at the second theme that I've called Seeking Clarity. So here we have the second theme that I've called Seeking Clarity. And I want to highlight a yod here between Ixion at 7 degrees of Capricorn and Gonggong at 6 degrees of Pisces, and the Sun, Jupiter, Psyche, and Hygiea. And this is an interesting yod that involves the Kuiper belt objects, Gonggong and Ixion, because the guidance that we can receive from this yod is significant. So let's first take a look at Hygiea and Psyche. And their archetypal energy brings in a desire to integrate soul and body. Hygiea is a energy associated with purification, cleansing, and often it has to do with the physical vessel, but it doesn't have to be. But in this case, with Leo, it's linked into the heart and the body. And Psyche is associated with strong connections with our soul connections. Psyche brings in the desire to connect with our soul journey. And these two together is a grand opportunity expanded by the sun, highlighted by the sun, and expanded by Jupiter. And this is not a coincidence that Hygiea and Psyche are highlighted here as part of the full moon in Aquarius, because both of these energies, a clear, purified vessel and being and connection with our soul and multidimensional self. The message cannot be clearer. And then we have Gonggong and Ixion. Ixion, I might sit right in front of the number there. The number for Ixion is 28978, in case I'm covering that in the video here. And then we have Gonggong and Ixion at the bottom of this yod, being each of the legs of this yod pointing to the Jupiter, Sun, Hygiea, and Psyche. Ixion and Gonggong are both guides for the future. Gonggong is that mastery around the empathic body, the unseen, the inner sense of connection that we can make with other souls without having to use the voice or written or spoken word, for example. It is the aura reading of somebody, that we know something about somebody else without even knowing them or talking with them. So Gonggong is that empathic consciousness. and Gonggong in Pisces represents the 12th house, the subconscious, the unseen. So this is the guidance, that future blueprint of energy that is anchored now to Earth. Gonggong may also be the enabler of all this creativity energy that we are connecting with here at this Aquarius full moon. Ixion is the seeker, and in Capricorn, Ixion is seeking a new framework, a new way of relating in the physical world on Earth. So Ixion is leading that sense of evolution and driving things forward. And at 7 degrees of Capricorn, it may be that shift of a new frame of reference that we are seeking, different values that turns out to be a different focus that manifests out in a new framework for how we want to live our life and what matters to us. So this yacht is significant. If we want to take a look at the higher guidance from higher consciousness, Ixion and Gonggong are clearly pointing us towards the purified vessel to allow for that immense creativity and soul connection that we are moving into a new era of now. It also may speak to the need for cleansing our mental domain. Cleansing in the sense of noticing our thoughts where they are not compassionate or where they are more focused on the self versus compassion. This cleanse is also a process that we are invited to take part in, and allowing that resistance to be released, which is often caused by our thoughts, not our heart. All right, let's take a look at the third energetic theme that I've called Path to Inner Flow next. And in this third energetic theme that I called Path to Inner Flow, I'd like to highlight a couple of squares, particularly 2 squares that are very influential at this, and guiding, of course, too, at this Aquarius full moon. And first, this is the Venus-Mars square that is exact here at 21 degrees in Virgo and Gemini, respectively. Mars is now traversing the Orion constellation, being at 21 degrees of Gemini there, conjunct Orion-Bellatrix. And this is also a square that will come back exact, not the same degrees. There will be other signs. There will be Leo and Scorpio in October. But this is the first square between the two around this time, around this significant time of July 2026. And particularly Mars is carrying messages here and interacting with the Orion constellation significantly. And if you notice here, if we apply the basket formation to this chart, we have Mars inside the basket on that half of the chart where we have all the basket aspects. And on the open side of the basket, we have Venus. And if you notice, Venus is, in addition to the South Node and Ixion, but from a personal planet standpoint, Venus is the only planet that is in the open air, so to say, not inside the basket. And that is a huge guidance for us, that Venus is above the basket, if you will, in the open. And she is leading the way here at 21 degrees of Virgo and allowing that light that she carries to drop into the basket. I hope you can see this visual, but it's something that's significant, that so many planets are inside the basket formation as part of that half of the chart. And Venus, along with South Node and Ixion, are really above. So this seeking of a new framework and Venus's divine feminine leadership in Virgo there, and also with the South Node's entry into Leo, this is a significant message around this time of divine feminine leadership. and a new way of relating to our reality. And we're going to talk more about this Venus-Mars square in the members only video. And there's a second square as part of this Aquarius full moon, and that is the square between Saturn and Mercury. Mercury in Cancer at 17 degrees and Saturn in Aries at 14 degrees, conjunct Andromeda Alperatus. And Mercury is in opposition with Lyra Sheliak at 18 degrees of Capricorn there. So it's a T-square. Again, I haven't drawn the whole T-square there, but you can imagine there the Mercury-Lyra Sheliak opposition, and then to Saturn there, almost at 14 degrees. And Saturn is conjunct dwarf planet Salacia as well. And in the members only video, I'll expand a little more about Saturn conjunct Salacia as well, because it's a long-term conjunction that Saturn has to dwarf planet Salacia. And in the members only video, we're going to dive deeper with these squares because they involve the personal planets, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. These squares will influence us at the personal level, guided by Saturn there, conjunct Andromeda Alperatus. And Saturn is also conjunct the dwarf planet Salacia long-term at 14 degrees of Aries. So that is a significant message driven here by Saturn in this case, but also the balancing force of Mars-Venus in square here. There is an urge to come into more balance when it comes to divine feminine, divine masculine energies. So the guidance from Orion-Bellatrix at this time, conjunct Mars, is that we're guided to go from lack of focus and moving that energy into a self-directed energy based and fueled by creativity. And this is also Bellatrix, as you can see in the Hunter of Orion there, is at the very shoulder there where he has his bow stretched out. I don't know if you can see that in as part of the constellation there. It really is a directional energy that comes into play now with Mars being conjunct Orion-Bellatrix to encourage that self-inner compass to be activated or strengthened. And Mercury in opposition to Lyra Sheliak there at 18 degrees of Capricorn is the guidance around listening to, for example, nature, because universal flow is always in existence in our physical world through nature, for example. And with Mercury now direct, we are also guided to step into that listening mode, the observation mode, to listen to that truth within ourselves. And Lyra Sheliak is strongly associated with universal flow, particularly with nature, for example. So yes, if you would like to dive deeper with me on that path to inner flow, join our YouTube channel membership. There is 3 levels to choose from. The members only videos start at the galaxy level and above. And also we are having regular Q&As as part of the channel membership that every member is invited to. And that's always exciting. And you can also send in questions to me regularly, of course, at any time on any video as a member. So that's a way for us to continue the conversation about galactic astrology and the collective energies that we're seeing now, and how they apply to your chart is very important as well. And if you're curious how this Aquarian full moon energy is applying to your chart and what it means for you, I have a 30-minute limited special reading for you, Path to Inner Flow, that you're more than welcome to sign up for. So next, I have some questions for you should you want to integrate this Aquarius full moon some more. The first question is, how are you practicing allowing? And what does allowing mean to you? This is an energy flow that we can practice, but it does require us to be a pure vessel to allow. And if we can identify where we are still holding on to resistance, we can also invite more of that receptive energy of allowing. So how are you practicing allowing this full moon? The second question is, what would your new frame of reference be, guided by compassion and selflessness rather than ego and a self? And that may be a question to sit with. What would change, or what would be your new frame of reference if you were to apply those energies represented by Cassiopeia-Shedar to it? The third question is, how are you coming into greater balance at this time? And I'm thinking of the Venus-Mars square there and the Mercury-Saturn square as well. There's an invitation at this time around the Aquarius full moon to come into more balance. And the particular window to focus on the question around balance may be around July 21st to August 6th. Because that's really when we have the Venus-Mars square exact. So that's a great window to focus on when it comes to noticing where in our lives we are imbalanced. It might be something that we're doing too little of, or too much of, or any aspect of our life where we feel is not in balance. Great opportunity, because we will get a second chance come October to revisit this. But then it's going to be in Leo and Scorpio, and that is really where we go deep with that heart frequency energy. But that's to come in October. And I want to come back to the message from the beginning of this video, is how can you get out of your own way? And that is a key message of this Aquarius full moon, because the Aquarian energy is not about pushing or going at it on your own. It is to collaborate with a greater purpose, allowing ourselves to see our own role in the whole and utilize that in community, and utilize our inner strength, our talents and gifts, and being appreciated for that within a community. So that purification that Hygiea is bringing in alongside Psyche here is our opportunity to truly let go of things that are misaligned within ourselves, within our thought processes, within our body, and allow a harmony to rise, because we are moving deeper into 2027, where major energetic shifts are happening. And this is also our ticket to go with ease through those changes. So I hope you're having a great Aquarius full moon. It's an opportunity to really be with the energy of the future blueprint, and how we can become a clear vessel for that energy, that creativity that we are invited to engage with. Are you curious about your own galactic alignments? Download my Galactic Alignments Reference Guide. There's a link in the pinned comment and description box below. So thank you for being here, listening and watching New Light Living Podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. Visit me on ulrikasullivan.com. Join me in the YouTube channel membership. Schedule your 30-minute reading, or schedule the full gamut 2-hour reading with me, with associated integration sessions, as many as you want, after, to truly integrate what your multidimensional self means to you and that perspective in your life right now, today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the Aquarius full moon, and I can't wait to be back with another video for you soon. Bye-bye.